The views expressed, opinions given, and any communication made between the hosts and guests of What Are You Afraid of Horror and Paranormal Show do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Para-X Radio, EMC Network, or all services that play this show. The hosts and services are not responsible for the actions of their guests, and the original rights of all intellectual property is retained by the creator, and all work is used with either permission or Creative Commons license. The show is for entertainment purposes only. I'm horror author T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm horror author and filmmaker Phil Thomas.
And tonight we're asking you,
what are you afraid of? Philadelphia's horror home with hosts T. Fox Dunham and Phil Thomas.
On this episode of What Are You Afraid of? Episode 87. So we decided 85 and 86 with Bill Reef. Bill Reef was fantastic, really liked him. You know, and we're over in Lansdale, by the way, for their Lansdale Day. Not officially from Lansdale now. Just want to let everyone know that's a different group. And we are recording from Comic Zen. Tim Hershey's here. You know, it's summertime, we're out. We're hanging out. Met a lot of people at Ghost Stories today. Selling my books. Yeah. Now, a few weeks ago, about 2 months ago, the site gets a text message from a gentleman who's having some issues with the paranormal. And then it took a little while for me to get back to him, because, you know, we're just overwhelmed sometimes. And it took a little while to get him on the show because we're backlogged with content. Like, we're going down to Selma next week, in Selma Mansion in Norristown, for the first Hit Paranormal Expo. And we've had a lot of content with the HWA and the Summer Dark Reading Series and James Chambers in April and you know, everyone like that. And so, finally, we had an opening in our schedule, and we were coming down here to record during the day. And it was time to get this man on the show. It sounds like he needs some help. Dave, how are you today?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're a little cooler, obviously. It's quite a day. Yeah, I was out in the sun selling books. You know, I got thrown off the street. Yeah, that's a fun story. You know, they don't like ghost hunters here, I guess. I don't. Yeah, for authors, yeah, there's something wrong. And it's just okay. So Dave, you wrote the website, you wrote the Facebook page about 2 months ago, and said you were having some problems at home. So what sort of problems are you having?
Well, it started probably about 10 years ago, and we came to terms with them. But the first experience, we just moved in with our cat. Well, I wake up till the middle of the night, and I see my cat looking in the corner in the living room, just like it was talking, not like meowing, but in a human like how do you put it exactly? Like almost like a cat was talking but wasn't meowing, and it would like respond to whatever it was. So I got up and looked. I didn't see anything. And next thing I knew the cat is arching its back like it's being petted. And I'm like, okay. And then the cat looks at me and hisses, and I say, okay, I'm getting back into bed. I said, I'm not dealing with this.
This was right after you moved in.
Yeah, it's probably about a week after I moved in. Second experience, I was in the shower. No one was home. I hear childlike footsteps running up and down the hallway, and it's a wooden floor. There's no second story, no bottom story, nothing. So I get out, I don't see anything. So I go back in the shower, I hear it again. Never could. I tried debunking it, couldn't figure it out.
Wow.
That happened at least 5 times.
And what was your initial thought the first time that happened?
I thought I left the door open and someone walked in. But see, I live in the country, so I really don't have any neighbors. So I'm like, okay, and people don't walk to people's houses, in the country. Another time, we just got back from Minnesota. My stepdad passed away. He was on my mind. So, and I just quit smoking. I bought one of the little vapor pens. I woke up in the middle of the night, and this thing was smoking like someone was pressing the fire button. Yeah. So it quits when I wake up. I go back to sleep. The next night, it does the exact same thing. Third night in a row, it does it again. I finally take the batteries out. I happen to look at the clock. It's weird. It was like around 3:15. So I'm like, okay. So I went to the smoke shop the next day. I'm like, hey, do these things have any internal timer in them that go off at a certain time, anything? And they're like, no. He said, we built the software on this thing. There's no timer. I'm like, okay. He's like, why are you asking? I told him. And he said, man, that's a little freaky. 3 times in a row. And
yeah, I have a vapor pen.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
Has that ever happened to you before?
It hasn't happened, and hopefully it won't. Yeah.
Which is weird. And I believe it was my stepfather. And see, I'm not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I had plenty of experiences, but I'm like, okay, whatever. But my stepfather, he was fascinated with these vapor pens because I would build my own heat and element and everything. He was just fascinated with it. He loved electricity, how it worked, everything. And I really believed it was him messing with me, getting his last joke.
Very well of him, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then another experience was I was asleep in bed, and I heard a voice, and so I'm a heavy sleeper, and I heard this voice. And it's happened multiple times. And it came from the closet, and it said, it's me. Like,
who's me?
Never could catch it. So I call it, it's me ghost. I think there's at least 3 here because the house is over 120 years old. There was an addition made in the 70s. But it happens every, winter, spring time. One of my friends from Missouri is actually a paranormal investigator. And he offered to come down, and I explained to him it doesn't happen all the time. He said, well, there is such thing as seasonal hauntings. Static electricity can cause it, everything. I have
let's hear them.
So many stories I can tell you.
About seasonal haunting, it's true. In the summertime, I haunt the shore. Yeah. So does Phil.
Yeah, we have, from our kitchen to our dining room, we have a door we took off the hinges because it would open and close by itself. And I'm not like talking about like a slowly creep. It'd slam open and closed. I'm like, okay, maybe the house is unlevel. So I even took a level to it. You name it. The thing is perfect. So I'm like, okay. So I left it alone. If I walked past that door, it would slam. So I finally said, okay, I'm taking it off the hinges. I'm not playing this game no more.
This would slam every time you walked past?
Yeah, if I was near it. If I walked through it, it would wait till I'll get through it and it would slam. I even tried digging up some historical records, and there's not much on it. There was a family here that it was strictly a family house. And each generation, they lived in the house. There's a couple deaths in the house. From when I was reading, it was an old cattle farmer, a milk farmer, nothing, like you would see from the Amityville Horror,
no murders
like that. I play guitar, and I have my guitar amp. Every so often, voices will come through into that, and I thought it was like backfeed from something, but I have nothing backfeed to it. So I was talking to that gentleman in Missouri, and he said a lot of times ghosts somehow can reverse the polarity and actually generate their own voice through an amplifier.
Turned backwards,
Right, exactly. And would you know, I heard that it's me
ghost.
Said
it's me there. Again?
It's me, and it's me. I'm here. Nothing freaky, no hairs didn't stand up or anything like that. And I have a recording software for it. Before my computer crashed, I had it on there where I was playing my guitar, and you could hear it in the background.
Oh, what a great song that would be. I think Katrina Weidman would like that one over for Away from 30. Well, that is. Do you have any originals? Do you do covers? Do you do originals, Dave?
I actually write my own music. Some people will write books, write journals, and growing up, I always thought writing in a journal was too cliche. Well, so when I finally was able to afford a guitar, I was teaching myself, and that was the time my parents were going through a divorce, and that was my way of coping. I always believe music is how when you write a song, someone can define it in a
Oh
thousand
wow,
different ways.
that's beautiful.
You know, it could have been a song about that sad moment in your life, but they use that as the best day of their life. And it's, to me, it's not just words. There's meanings behind
Right.
those words.
Yeah. That's great.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
And what kind of music do you play?
I play everything from a little bit of indie to kind of country, rock, hard rock.
If you like Led Zeppelin, check out Greta Van Fleet. They're pretty awesome.
You got it,
Yes,
sir.
Led Zeppelin.
If you like Zeppelin though, check out Greta Van Fleet. Have you ever heard of them?
Right, and see, and you know, a lot of it. You know, look at a lot of Pink Floyd stuff. How they write their stuff. It to me, it's just so unique, and it made them who they are.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, if you're interested, we'd be glad to play one of your originals on the show.
Yeah, we could do that.
Wish I could tell you everything on my mind. Sometimes it feels like my thoughts are paralyzed. My mind is clear, but my lips are frozen. Stolen. Guess I'm falling apart. I guess I knew this from the start. I guess I'm on my own. These are my thoughts unspoken. So many questions running circles in my mind. Can't determine wrongs from rights. When yesterday repeats itself, frustration hits the core. I've been here before, and these thoughts I can't ignore. Guess I'm falling apart. Guess I knew this from the start. Where did this go wrong? Well, I guess I'm on my own. These are my thoughts unspoken. When's the last time you thought of us? When's the first time you forgot about us?
Tales Unspoken, performed by Dave Brawler. Are you haunted by shadow people in the middle of the night?
Do you secretly love all things creepy and spooky, enjoying ghost stories and horror fiction from the best storytellers?
Do you have a true ghost experience you want to share, but no one will believe you?
If yes, listen to the professionals on What Are You Afraid of? Horror Paranormal Show Friday nights at 9 p.m. on Para X Radio and at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com.
What are you afraid of on Para X?
Our creepy and demented hosts are on call to provide you with all your spooky needs with true ghost stories, interviews, indie music, and new horror fiction.
We are ready to scare you.
Para X.
Rat, where are you going?
I'm going back to the Paranormal View, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Rat, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Rat, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear... Line!
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Para X Radio Network.
Mercy, a new horror medical thriller from author T. Fox Dunham, published by Bloodbound Books. Based on the author's horrific battle with a rare form of lymphoma that involved intense chemotherapy and radiation, Fox turns the horror of his experience into terror on the page.
William Saint is dying of cancer. On most days, death seems like a humane alternative to the treatment. Stricken with fever, William is rushed to Mercy, notorious as a place to send the sickest of the poor and uninsured to be forgotten, and finds the hospital in even worse condition than his previous visit.
Willie's memories faded. He grabbed his sack head, the sack head of the scarecrow, picking at the exposed chicken wire to hold them in. However, the memories fell out of the holes in his face. They wormed and crawled from the leather flesh and the old clothing of the scarecrow, then squirmed and wiggled down his body.
The grounds are unkempt, the foundation is cracking, and like the wild mushrooms sprouting from the fissures of decay around it, something is growing inside the hospital. Something dark.
Fangoria gives Mercy 3.5 out of 4 skulls. Dunham has channeled his many brushes with the other side into the exquisitely rendered, lyrical, supernatural hospital thriller Mercy.
It's feeding on the sickness and sustaining itself on the staff, changing them, and now it wants Willie.
Come now, Mr. Saint. Just a little more of that sweet milk. So salty and so good. You won't miss it. And we ever do so like our delicacies here at Mercy Hospital.
Part medical horror, part supernatural suspense, Mercy is a hard-hitting fever dream of a novel. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Tim Wagner, author of The Way of All Flesh and Eat the Night. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere in both print and digital versions.
Life is an addiction.
Let go. Let it all burn.
Caliburn Press, LLC is a Madison, Wisconsin-based publishing company owned and operated by Alan Ledden. Caliburn works with talented writers, artists, editors, and marketers throughout the United States, and you can find their books through their many imprints that include Damnation Books, Eternal Press, Malaferia Press, Ciento Sordida Publishing, and Spiro Publishing. Please visit their website at sites.google.com/site/Caliburn Press LLC/home or Google Caliburn Press to check out their growing list of titles on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and any other place fine books are sold.
I do have a Facebook page. It's called Dave Brawler Music.
Okay, then after we're done, you can send us over a song and we'll play it on this episode.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. That's what we do.
Yeah,
we don't just do, as you know, we don't just do ghosts and paranormal. We feature a lot of musicians and artists. That's our mission. Oh, absolutely. You're our guy. He's our guy. This is the guy we're going out to support right here. The guy the guy out there playing his heart out, doesn't have a major record contract, but he's out there singing to the sun anyway.
That's right.
So getting back to the ghost stories, it sounds like you've had a lot of experiences. Did you have ghost experiences before you moved into this house, like growing up?
I have. I lived all over the U.S. My parents divorced. I remember when I was in Gettysburg, I went to Tim Nisbet's ghost tour.
Mark Nisbet, yeah.
Where you walk. Yeah, you walk with him, and he has that lantern. And we came across in Paranormal. We also visited another one there where you were in a basement and they're telling you stories.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool. It was some creepy stuff happened. That happened there. I lived in an old house in Thor, Iowa, and the population was probably 65 in that town. Well, the house was an old orphanage, and they cut the house in half, and you could see where it used to go on, and they just put a wall there. And on the second story, you would hear what it sounded like an old children's tricycle, the wheels just squeaking as they're pedaling on.
Wow.
It. That house, that had some history to it. I used to think there was rats in the attic, but there's nothing up there. It was completely sealed. They just re-renovated it for installation. But you would hear footsteps, marbles, sound like they're falling and rolling.
Remember Don Allison was talking about that, yeah.
Yes. Kind of like that. You would hear boards rattle, but when you try to step on those boards, they wouldn't creak or anything. Doors swinging and opening. It sound like rusty hinges. And I noticed with the house that the windows were very, very low to the ground. And one of the neighbors, and I don't know how true it is, they said they put the windows lower to the ground because the ghost could escape. It's kind of like what you hear about in Salem, where they have witch windows.
No, what's a witch window?
Yeah.
If I remember from what I was reading, it's a window installed diagonally instead of up and down on the side of a house. Because they say witches cannot go through those windows.
I guess I'm not getting through one of those windows. A lot of my friends aren't getting through either now.
Here in Arkansas, I have come across numerous things, and it's this house especially. It doesn't scare me. At first it did, but just one day I sat down and I said, "Okay, listen here, guys. You guys can do whatever you want when I'm not here, but when I'm here, you need to stop." And it's like talking to a child. Good luck with that.
I was going to say, what happened with that? Did they listen, or?
There for a while, it got quiet. And then, of course, the It's Me ghost makes an appearance at least once a month.
I get this image of, like, him coming home from work, and cabinets are banging open, and they're running across the floor, and they're going, it's me, and all of a sudden they're like, shh, he's home, and everything stops.
He's home.
Right. It's never freaky. It's at first it was, but once it becomes your norm, you're not worried about it. I even tried to experiment one night, and I played white noise on my computer. I'm like, okay, if you're going to talk, you're going to talk to me without using two words. And I didn't have any luck, of course, but every so often something weird will happen. Something will fall over off of I have my man room where all my music, guitars and everything's at, and things will fall over just by themselves, like a piece of metal, just fall over. It's almost like them telling me, remember, I'm still here.
Just a little reminder, right?
Yeah, right.
Right, exactly. And it's never anything bad. Now, here what happened recently within the last month. I was driving back from a town called Bryant, which is probably about a half hour, 45 minutes from here. And I was going down the interstate, and I got the most potent smell of my stepfather's cologne within a split second. And a second later, it was completely gone. Windows were up. No one was in front of me. Sometimes it's, I believe, hey, I'm just checking in on you. Like, I'm good. And that happened a couple times.
As far as your house and the spirits that are in there, how would you categorize them? Would you categorize them as just ghosts or something a little more menacing?
I thought about that, and I think I have three categories, one for each of them. Two of them are family members, and one of them just wants to bug the crap out of you.
So they're not demonic.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
No.
That's good.
No, not demonic. You know, we haven't had any problem with any bruises, waking up with bruises or any harm. Yeah, I said if that was it, I'll either get an exorcism or I'm going to get out.
Yeah, ghosts are one thing, and the demonic things another. So yeah, the ghosts are that's not really something to be too worried about. But it's actually almost kind of cool in a way because they're there just to they're not there to mean any harm.
Right. Yeah. They're part of the local ecosystem.
Yeah, and if they're family members, they're probably there just to hang around you. You know.
Right, and see, every so often we'll have a bonfire or something, and if someone's too drunk to drive, I said, okay, I'm taking your keys, you're staying here. Well, I'll get up early, and the person will be sitting on the couch looking at me like they haven't slept. I say, what's wrong? He says, you gotta tell them to stop, man. You have to tell them to stop. I said, what are you talking about? He said, man, someone was pulling my hair all night. My cell phone was across the room. I said, well, you probably just put it there and forgot about it. And he would go on with the whole story. He said, man, the sofa started rocking up and down. And so people don't spend the night here.
We would. We so would.
I think it's fun, especially family. Well, you can come to my house spend the night. No. Thank God
right,
not spend the night.
You got enough family here already.
But now when I do have friends over and stuff, they will say, hey, who else is in the house? I said, nobody. And they say, well, I just seen something out of the corner of my eye. I said, there's no one here. Now, I've never seen that, but friends are always saying they see something out of the corner of their eye or say, oh, who's that walking through the hall? And of course, we'll get up and look and no one's there. But it's each person that comes here has a different experience, and it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, of course. And I imagine everyone's going to interpret what they see in a different way. And I'm sure that lots of people have seen things in your house that they've just disregarded because they didn't understand it or accept it that you've never heard of.
Right, and a lot of people will call you crazy if you believe in ghosts. So a lot of times you won't even bring it up. Okay, I won't talk about it until they witness it, and they think they're going crazy. And a lot of times these stories
usually end where somebody, like, the house is haunted, they've moved out, and then family and friends come to them and say, I never told you, but this weird thing happened to me when I was in the house. I was on the couch, or I was in the bathroom, and someone said, it's me. And you'll hear all these stories suddenly emerge that people have kept to themselves when the story seems to be over.
Well, absolutely.
Let's say you had a ghost.
Uh-huh.
Would you welcome that, or would you be resistant?
Well, you know what? Everybody thinks it's neat because it's a ghost. And there are a lot of people who feel special. Mm-hmm. Like Bill Reap was saying, there are people that are very happy that they don't have a ghost, and then there are many that are disappointed and argue with them and say, no, that's not the heater, that's a ghost.
Right. They want a ghost.
Yeah.
They want to have a ghost.
And I think it's exciting. It makes them feel special. Right. And if you're a business, you can make some extra money out of it.
You can. You advertise as haunted. People will actually go there.
Gettysburg is the haunted town. It's like the haunted Disneyland.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
100%.
And we were there.
And see, I actually picked up was it Allison's book?
Don Allison.
I Met a Ghost in Gettysburg. Actually, I had to order that book, and I read that thing in one night, and a lot of things he was talking about when he was on the battlefield, I experienced. Okay.
There's something there. There really is. Anyone that says there isn't you just haven't spent enough time there. You haven't been there, because there definitely is. And Fox and I, we interviewed Mark Nesbitt last September.
A couple times. Yeah.
But we actually went there and interviewed him in person. And, we were talking about this before, you just feel it. As soon as when you're in that town, you can just feel the energy all around you. It's a presence.
It really is,
presence.
I remember clear as day us driving in there from Pottsville. We made a drive, and as soon as we got there, you could feel it in the car. It's almost static electricity. And I was getting hyper. I was souped up. I said, let's go on some ghost tours, and we probably went on at least 4. And Mark Nisbett's his one was probably the best.
He's great.
He spent all those years doing all the documentaries and writing all the books. He knows his stuff when it comes to it. And when you checked in, for his ghost tour, they would tell you all the hot spots, everything. There was we went on one where they called it I think it was called the Gettysburg Railroad, and that railroad was haunted as could be. You actually could see Confederate soldiers, like half embodied soldiers walking around.
I don't think I've seen that, but
No, we got to go
cool,
check that
though.
out. Yeah, we've heard lots of stories from places like Devil's Den.
Yeah.
Like author Susie Madrone, she's doing much better, by the way. Good job, Susie. She's gotten some stuff published, and it's just exciting to see friends get back into the publishing industry and start writing again and get their hearts back. Because that's what I'm doing right now. I mean, I actually feel better than I have in 2 years.
That's amazing.
Well, I was really ill there. I mean,
You were.
I was on the edge. I had that, it was moving into sepsis. They were thinking it was going to move into my heart, and if it had, I would be being interviewed from the other side.
Right.
I'm host Phil Thomas. T. Fox Dunham was with us tonight from the other side. We have a seance to bring him on the show tonight. He's making his final goodbye. No, it was really touch and go there.
Yeah, it was, I know.
And I went through Penn, they put me on a crap load of antibiotics, they changed my medication, they improved my treatment. Took a while, but I am actually, for all my fans, I am feeling 10 times better than I have in like 2 or 3 years.
I know, and that's really great news.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks, guys.
That
and
is
like
awesome.
I'm out fishing. I'm out writing again every like day or two now, at the various Barnes & Nobles and Starbucks, and we're out here at Comics Den with Tim Hershey. If you're in Lansdale, come down to Comics Den.
Yeah, come on.
It's a great store. He's got some wonderful comic books. He's got some old ones now, too. He's starting to do that.
Oh, vintage. Gotta love the vintage.
Yeah, the vintage stuff. And I mean, he's got all the newest episodes, so he'll start your file. So coming down to Comics Den. And we're going to pause there. David Walton has been on the hunt for ghost stories in England. And he's been recording them for us, and he sent us one called Cathedral Close. This is David Walton. For CC Cat, she got really mad because we haven't been playing David Walton. She started like a protest. But this is Cathedral Close on What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal Show on Para X Radio at Friday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. You can catch our repeats. And you can also find us over at the website at www.whatareyoufraidofpodcast.com for expanded information on every episode. Send in your ghost stories. Go check out, the videos and biographies and links to the various things. But this is David Walton's Cathedral Close. And we'll be back with Dave.
Cathedral Close. An extract from The Ghosts of Exeter by Sally and Chips Barber. Published in 1990 and read with permission from Obelisk Publications by David Walton. In the 1980s, 5 Cathedral Close, Exeter, was occupied by the Exeter and County Club. Some of their employees have had strange experiences there, but one employee in particular, a level-headed young lady, who admits to having been sceptical of the existence of ghosts, now has no doubt that they do indeed exist. It started one day when she had reason to go to the cellar where she suddenly smelt a strange aroma, which she later realised was rosewater. On returning upstairs, she asked another worker to go down to see if she could notice anything. Several moments later, her colleague returned with her face ashen white, as if she had seen a ghost. She too had smelt the rosewater scent, but more disturbingly, she had felt a strange presence which had literally stood face to face with her. Both girls were scared by their experiences, but as the months passed by without further incidents, they began to forget what had happened. However, early one evening the same girl was working in the bar when she felt a strong draught on her face and instantly looked round for an open window or door. There was none. Seconds later she felt the same sensation that you get when someone blows into your face from an adjacent spot. Her immediate reaction was to take a step back, but she found that she couldn't put her heel down to the ground. In a panic, she ran from the bar in order to phone her husband for help. She tried the number, but the line was dead. She dialed her mother and then her sister, but on each occasion the line remained silent. As she returned to the bar, wondering what to do next, she gazed at the floor and saw a long and pointed cloth shoe. Not wishing to witness any more of this grim spectre, she hurried from the building, turning off and closing what she could on the way, to reach the sanctuary of the outside world. Not long afterwards, she found employment elsewhere. Hi, I'm David Walton, and I drop whatever I'm doing to read whatever Fox and Phil demand of me. My digital, as opposed to ectoplasmic alter ego, is called Brendan Shawland, who regularly plays guitar and sings in a virtual world. Brendan has a website, David doesn't. Bandcamp sales figures would suggest that Brendan's music is decidedly niche. If you want to be in the vanguard of support as Brendan heads towards global domination, just put Brendan Shawland in your favourite search engine, and you'll find his website very close to the top. You'll see what the human looks like, and you can check out the Listen to a Song page to access Brendan's unwillingly private world of creative output.
There are things that are unexplained, things that linger along the edges of reality. Often they leave trails to follow, many of which lead to darkened rooms and stairways that can take you, if you dare, only to one place: the Basement Files.
In the future, roving bands of comic book podcasts will savage the wasteland, once known as the Internet. One podcast, the Grawlix Podcast, may not be the biggest, may not be the funniest, may not be the most well-spoken. Wait, what was my point again? Oh yes, the Grawlix Podcast. Listen to it at grawlixpodcast.com. That's GRAWLIX podcast.com.
Hi, this is Tim from Comic Zen. We're located at 301A West Main Street in Lansdale, right near the intersection with Susquehanna Avenue. We have new comics, old comics, graphic novels, including comics made just for kids. Action figures, statues, comic supplies, board games, card games, and much more. We have a special order service for both comics and games, and we have a comic subscription service so you don't miss your monthly issues. So come to Comic Zen. Just don't upset the samurai ghost who haunts the store.
And guess what, kiddies? Foxy and Philly will be recording live from Comic Zen in Lansdale every first Friday of the month. So come down and see us at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, not then, because we will be recording live for the Philly Foxy Haunted Spooky Hour on Parax Radio. And bring your ghost stories a little before or a little after, and we'll be glad to collect them at Comic Zen. Fridays, first Fridays, at Comic Zen.
Comic Zen.
In Lansdale, PA.
What are you afraid of?
Hi, I'm Tim Wagner, Bram Stoker award-winning author.
Hashtag Grave Girls. This is Katrina Weidman of Destination America's Paranormal Lockdown.
This is Jim Chambers. I'm the author of The Engines of Sacrifice.
This is Jasper Barr, award-winning author of The Final Cut.
And you're listening to What Are You Afraid Of?
What Are You Afraid Of?
To What Are You Afraid Of?
What are you afraid of?
Love it. Fantoxic, please. Fantoxic.
Well, we're back in Lansdale Day.
Yes, we are.
You know, having a great time. We're talking to Dave Brawler.
Hello, Dave.
Yeah. Well, we're doing good.
How y'all doing?
Yeah. This is episode 87, The Haunted Caller.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, no, and we might be splitting this into two parts. We'll see what the time does. You know, we got some great ghost stories in from David Walton. I'm interviewing a bunch of authors and filmmakers, like 10, 15-minute blurbs, and we'll see if we can get you talking to some of them too. Remember, the HWA Summer Dark Reading Series is happening in Hell's Kitchen in New York City at the Oasis Gardens, and I will be reading there on June 15th.
Nice.
We're going up. And what's neat about it is it's this beautiful open gardens at night.
Okay.
And they have all these seats and everything, and people come up, people just wander off the street and see something going on. And not only do the authors read, but they hang out with you and chat with you to just sort of talk about writing and answer questions.
This is a good time.
And I plan to be reading from Mercy.
Nice. I'm going to be at Music Fest that day.
Wait, where's Music Fest at?
In Ambler.
In Ambler, okay.
It's a two-day event.
Yeah, okay.
Whole day.
Cool.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, I invited some New York authors I know down. I'm going to see if Lloyd Kaufman wants to come over with Lily, his daughter.
Yeah.
Because she's a budding horror author.
Right.
You know, I was in that anthology with Lloyd and Lily from Bloodbound Books.
That's right.
Who published Mercy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mercy's available. We were just talking to Dave about it. You know, you can find it at some Barnes & Nobles, but a lot of it's not a very popular book to stock. You know, we don't have a big distributor.
Right.
You know, so... But you can also get that online and, you know, over at my website at www.tfoxdunham.com and check out the page at www.whatayouafraidofpodcast.com.
And you can also get it on Amazon, too. Right?
Yeah, Amazon, just... So, Dave, sounds like you've had some cool times in Gettysburg. You've got some crazy stuff going on in the house. Have you ever... It sounds like you're trying to make peace with the ghosts. Has anything ever happened that's really, like, frightened you with a feeling that you might be harmed?
The first time I heard "It's Me," that scared the crap out of me. Now, when I heard that, I got up, I walked the house, tried to get myself back to sleep, and that's when I noticed things would fall off the counter or something. And I know it was the ghost because whatever the object that would fall was sitting there for at least a year untouched. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of crazy. It would happen the exact same night this would happen. And when your cell phone fully charges, it lights up. My phone would do that. I wouldn't have it plugged in; it would just light up by itself, no notifications or anything. And that would happen around the exact same time. And I start when I was researching about that vapor pen, and when I looked at the time, they call it witching hour, which I never and I didn't pay no attention to it. But that's when stuff started, hitting the fan is around that time. And sometimes it would be 12, sometimes it would be 4. Another scary one was I was outside welding one night and I tripped the breaker. So I had to walk through the house, go hit the breaker back on. And I actually seen what looked like a shadow figure just looking at me down the hall.
That's creepy.
So I immediately hit the lights on and it's gone. Wow. So my heart's racing at that time. Like, okay, I need to take this welding mask off. I need to sit down. That's one of the stories I don't tell people. I'm like, okay, we're not coming to your house for sure. But that, it startled me, scared me. But it never happened again. I'm like, okay, I'm hallucinating. I'm probably dehydrated. Just need to calm down. And that was probably the scariest it got. Now, the first time when the cat, like it was talking, that was pretty freaky. Because, they say that animals, have that sixth sense where they can pick up on paranormal. Since then, we had 2 different cats in this house, and each one would have their own little thing about them. One of the cats would go through the house just like howling, like scared, howling. The third cat we had ended up being an outside cat, would refuse to stay in the house. Wow. And I'm like, okay, what are you trying to get out of? Because a lot of times they want to stay where it's heated or cooled. But yeah, we have dogs, and the dogs never had any, problems. Not that I know of. But yeah, that's some freaky stuff like that.
Phil, have you ever seen a shadow figure, a shadow person?
I did actually.
Where'd you see the shadow person at?
Fort Mifflin, actually.
Oh, that was when you were staying overnight.
Yeah.
Not when we were down.
Right, not when we were there. Yeah.
So what happened exactly?
It was behind one of those. Remember the blacksmith?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it was like, and there was like you walk out the blacksmith to the right. There was that that elongated shed with all those tools and things in there. It was like right. It was like right behind there. It was like something came out.
Just came out.
And I was the only one that saw it.
Wow.
Yeah, I was with a couple other people, and they saw it too.
Did it give you a chill? Yeah. Like you feel it.
It was freaky. Yeah.
You jump. You feel this. Oh God! And it just, no matter how prepared you are.
Right.
When I was a kid, I saw one.
Okay. Oh, really?
Well, my father and my mother divorced.
Right.
So I was a child, and we were living in this huge house in Levittown with a couple of extensions on the end.
All right.
So it was like me, my mom, and my sister.
Okay.
My brother had moved out, and we had this huge empty house, and my mom worked a lot of nights. So my sister would be asleep across the house, and, after the violence subsided with the divorce, all this creepy stuff started happening. And I would see something like a dark shadow slip out of the attic hole.
Wow.
Or I would see it slip to the room, almost like a fish in water. and then move into the closet and just vanish. And I swear one time, when I looked up at a mirror that was down the hall, and it could have been anything, but that there were 2 red eyes in the mirror looking back at me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid. It could have been, but it certainly scared. And one night, when
something, though.
I was sleeping, and I woke up to this man yelling. He was full of rage. He was yelling, and the whole bed was shaking. And he went on for 25 seconds. And I freaked out, it stopped, and I ran out and ran across the house, buried my head in the couch, and wouldn't move for like an hour.
Wow.
And no one else heard it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I'm
So you've seen it. You've seen something.
I'm pretty well adjusted.
Wow.
For having seen something. So Dave, you said your wife's had some experiences too.
She was always the one who heard it's me, and she would wake me up and say, "Hey, did you hear that? Did you hear it?" I said, "Hear what?" And then she would hear it. I would go back to sleep. She'd wake me up again. She would hear it on the other side of her bed, and I'm like, "I don't hear anything. I think you're you're talking in your sleep, or you're on the verge of sleeping." And she's like, "No, I was awake. I was reading. I heard it." I said, "No, you're losing it." And she was the one who woke me up with the whole cat. And me and her were both in the bed, peering out the door, watching this cat. And she also heard the children running in the hallway when she was in the shower.
Oh, okay, wow. The shower's a bad place, yeah.
Right, and see, which is weird, that part of the house was the one built on in the 70s. Now it's the older part of the house. This is, I'm talking about, this is happening in multiple rooms in the house, at least 4 different rooms. And from looking at the blueprints of the house have never changed floor plans. It's always been like this. She would also complain of cold drafts, and this would be when it was spring. You didn't need a heater, didn't need no AC on. And she's like, "You feel that?" I said, "No, I don't feel anything." She would also go on to say about, "Hey, she's like, hey, when you're done in that bathroom, make sure you flush the toilet." I said, "I'm right here next to you."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, "No, you're just in there." I said, "No, I've been laying here right next to you the whole time." And yeah, I'm like, okay, so this makes 2 of us insane then. Either we're going insane or this is really happening. And see, we have a problem with coyotes at night. They would start hollering. And they would go on for about a half hour, then they stop. And that's when you would hear, "It's me again." I'm like, just to make matters worse, you wake up from a dead sleep from coyotes, it scares you. And then you hear that, and I'm like, okay, I'm staying up. I'm not going back to sleep.
Right, absolutely. And then you kind of come down from it. You need time to come down and start getting more comfortable again, and I hear that happens a lot, when they interfere in your sleep, yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because it mostly happens because she goes to bed way before I do. I'm a night owl. And stuff will happen in the middle of the night, and I won't think anything of it. And then I'll retrace it. I'm like, holy crap, what was that? A lot of times the amplifier, that's when I'll do it. I'll plug in my headphones where I don't disturb anybody, and I can hear it clear as day like that. And a lot of times it's gibberish, and it's almost like an EVP, but not. It's more of like a real time. It's happening.
Right. And it's a shame. It's a shame you can't get it on. I mean, because you have to be waiting with a cell phone.
Right. I wish I could capture it. I'm like, that would be some good evidence there.
Yeah, we had some cool EVPs from Mark Nesbitt. He's caught a lot of good stuff. The Daniel 80 Farm and stuff. And we got to get back in touch with Mark. We need another ghost story.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that'd be great. Something new for the summer.
Right. Well, we're back.
We are back
on this episode. We're still in Lansdale at Lansdale Day. So it's not like the old Lansdale days, I'll tell you that. And it's hot. It's really hot out.
Oh, yeah.
We're back with Dave Brawler, who's not only has a paranormal eye, but he's also sounds like a creative fellow and a talented musician.
Yes, he does.
We love getting him on the show. Please send us in your ghost stories. We're running a little bit low on ghost stories right now.
Yeah, we need some ghost stories.
You can find the website at www.whatareyouafraidofpodcast.com. So definitely, go check out the website and look at our catalog of ghost stories that have been recorded mostly by folk singer David Walton. He's just so impressive.
Yeah, he's great.
David. Mm-hmm. And he's been out finding some English ghost stories and recording them for us. And he did the theme song to sort of little sketch thing we're putting together called Fluffy and Pete's in the zombie apocalypse, and we'll play that sometime. But I just wanted to mention a project from James Chambers, the New York chapter of the Horror Writers Association, is doing the Summer Dark reading series, and it's like every other week. Like it started on June 1st, then I'm on June 15th. I'm going up to, in Hell's Kitchen.
Right.
And I said, make sure to bring your Daredevil suit. Now, they just put together an anthology called The New York State of Fright. It's all horror stories from New York authors. And what's neat about this is that all the proceeds of the book are going to a New York-based writing mentorship nonprofit called Girls Write Now. It's a cool group that connects young women in, like, the poorer communities with female professional authors and media makers to help mentor them.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and a lot of New York authors have stories in this, along with Megan Occhiori. Yeah. She wrote a historical fiction called The Sprouting Devil. Remember she was on a while back on our clown episode? I don't think she liked that very much. Yeah, I don't think she knew we were going to have the clown apocalypse on that episode. Sorry, Megan. But she was down at Fort Mifflin for Horror at the Fort.
For our reading.
Yeah, I'm going to be putting together that video soon.
Yeah, it's great.
To release that, yeah. And don't forget our Psychic Spring that we're doing.
Yeah, Psychic Spring.
Yeah, we'll be interviewing psychics all summer and probably into the fall.
Yeah.
Coming up to talk about what it's like to have an expanded mental consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Dave, you say you're not psychic at all. Do you think that some people have a limited ability, like everyone's a little psychic?
I think it's possible. I really think it's possible. For example, I had a friend who was at least 2,000 miles away, and just texting back and forth, and they were telling me just little bits and things, and it's almost like I was reading their mind, and I was just blurring it out, and they said, "How'd you know that?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You just told me." She's like, "No, I didn't." I said, "Yeah, you did." She's like, "No, go back to the text."
So random, telepathy.
And I'm like, right, and I don't believe in it, but I'm like, okay, what is this, going on? And it's almost, when you're talking to somebody, you can get that tone, okay, they're irritated, they're upset, and you ask them, okay, what's wrong? It's almost like that when you get context clues when you're reading something. It's almost like it comes to me like that sometimes. Still to this day, I think, okay, it's just random things I thought they were feeling, but according to them, that's what everything that was on their mind. Now, when I was about 14, I remember calling to a local radio station. They had a psychic there, and they told me that my grandfather was with me at all times. And this is when I was living in Iowa, and says he has Hershey Kisses for you, which means Pennsylvania. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. This is weird. And I never met him. He passed away a little shy of 8 months before I was born. But he knew my mom was pregnant and everything. And now that was the last time I had a psychic reading. Now, when my stepfather passed away, my mom had one done, and she was telling my mom all the stuff that was true that happened, or nothing like future events, but past events. Like she brought up a naval ship because he was in the Navy. They brought up snow and wood, which when he lived in Minnesota, just some crazy stuff. And when you hear stuff like that, it's almost like it's fueling your fire to go find more stuff out. Just like when you have a paranormal experience, you want to dig deeper. You want to find out, okay, what's causing this? I want to go find more stuff like this.
You've opened your mind to a bigger world.
Right. And so you find out you're not limited to 3 dimensions. There's other dimensions out there.
Oh, I love that. That's going on our tagline at the end. I always put a little bit of dialogue at the closing. Yeah. See, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that's our...
And it always crosses my mind, okay, if we're limited to 3 dimensions, a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimensions out of our comprehension. So how are we going to understand it? Well, everybody is going to think you're crazy. Just like people who want to call people who believe in paranormal crazy. Okay, well, if you don't comprehend it, of course you think everybody else is crazy.
I think some of the people that think that people that believe in paranormal and have had these experiences they're the ones that haven't actually experienced it, and they don't give it.
It's so easy to deny it.
Yeah, it's real easy to deny. It's one of the most easily deniable things.
It's like it flips off a skeptic gene.
Yeah.
When you actually experience it and suddenly make a believer out of you. And
most people don't. I mean, not most, but there's a lot of people that don't believe in ghosts until it actually happens to them.
Right.
And that changes them.
My wife didn't believe in any of it. She like this is bullcrap. It's not real. And then when we started living here, she was like, "Holy crap, this stuff is real."
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
but she would. But after the it's me ghost. That's what she calls it. Oh, it's me ghost is back again. Better say hi to him. And she's like, just let him know. I'm trying to sleep over here. Just leave me alone. He can talk to you. I don't care. She became a believer in it. I always believed in it. From being a young kid, I was fascinated with the paranormal. When we were teenagers, in the local newspaper, they said railroad station in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, haunted. Me and my best friend at the time, we rushed over there, and that was my first paranormal experience. It's weird to describe it because it felt like a ghost touched me. It's almost like someone were to grab your forearm, but instead of the fingers getting a grip on you, they go right through you like a soft breeze.
Did you feel any kind of electricity?
Oh yeah.
I felt a little bit of static electricity. That the hairs on my arm stood up, and I felt someone grab me, but not grab me, go completely through me. And this is way before MP3s or came out, and we had an old school cassette player with a record button on it, and we try to record EVPs. We got a couple. A lot of them were duds, and I remember our way back, we looked at each other and he said, "What the heck just happened?" I said, "Was that a ghost?" He's like, "I never experienced that before," because he was a skeptic. Because I always want to have a skeptic come with me. Because if you can fool a skeptic, then it's okay. This is real. Because it's so easy to fabricate a story, but sometimes the truth is the best story.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it certainly makes it easier. Yeah. Okay, so last question for you, Dave. Right. Now we've had a lot of experience with the paranormal, and we've listened to a lot of ghost hunters and paranormal experts over the years. It has been years now, hasn't it, Phil?
What's that?
It has been years now
that
we've been doing this.
Almost 3. Well, no, 2.5.
Trusting our vast body of paranormal experience as parajournalists, are there any questions you have that we might be able to shed a little knowledge on about your haunting?
Is it possible that the ghost can portray your family members and they're actually not your family members?
That I've heard. Yeah. That I've definitely heard.
Mimic,
yeah, like you will hear your wife calling to you.
Yeah.
Like the story of the Smurls.
Yeah.
The mother kept hearing her daughter, it was the grandmother in the house calling to her, "Janet." She'd say, "Janet," and there'd be nothing there.
Right. Yeah.
But I've heard of incidents. We've talked to people where a roommate will appear and they'll be like, "What's wrong?" And they won't talk and they'll just walk off.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "What was going on yesterday?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "What are you talking about? I was out of town all day." Has this happened to you, Dave? Okay.
No, not really. It's funny you brought that up though, because I just brought something else up. When my stepfather passed away, my mom and my cousin moved down here and they stayed in our spare bedroom. My mom would stay up late and my cousin would go to bed early. Well, she would always say that my cousin would get up and just start talking. Not sleepwalking, but sit straight up and just start talking with her eyes closed. Okay. And I never knew that room to be haunted, but it's next to the hallway. And she would also complain about ghosts and stuff, or "Hey, was that you going down the hallway last night?" And I would say no, and that's what made me think of that.
Yeah, we've definitely heard stories of that. Well, it's been great talking to you, Dave. It really has been cool, and I'm so glad I followed up. Yeah, we follow up on everything eventually. But we are out in Lansdale at Comic Zen. Tim Hershey's here, coming down and get some comic books, and we've been talking to Dave Brawler. Dave, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so this has been What Are You Afraid of? Horror and Paranormal.
Well, I think we pissed the ghost off because my breaker just shut off and had to reboot it. Yeah, I'm dead. Yeah, I looked over, my modem was off. The breaker was tripped.
So what was the name of your website with your music on it? Your incredible song and You had just such a beautiful tone in your guitar and your singing. It was quite charming. So what is the website?
It's on Wix.com, and it's Dave Brayler Music.
Thank you, Dave, for being on the show. It was remarkable, and it's so cool to get people like you on the show to tell us your personal ghost stories and to share with us your experiences, and that's what we're all about. We're all about telling the stories.
Well, thank you for letting me come on the show. I appreciate it.
And we had a great time over the Summer Paranormal First Expo, and we've got a lot of content and interviews coming up that we got there with some incredible people, so that'll be coming up in the next few shows. We got Christopher Roy, crime author, coming up soon, and we'll be down the shore eventually. It's been a great show, episode 87, The Haunted Caller. And check out our website at www.whatareyourafraidofpodcast.com for expanded information, links, photos, and lots of extra content, and also our wonderful collection of narrated ghost stories over at www.whatareyourafraidofpodcast.com. This is T. Fox Dunham.
And I'm Phil Thomas.
You find out you're not limited to 3 dimensions. There's other dimensions out there.
T. Fox Dunham lives in Philadelphia with his wife Allison. He's a lymphoma survivor, cancer patient, modern bard, and historian. His first book, The Street Martyr, was published by Gutter Books. A major motion picture based on the book is being produced by Throughline Films. Destroying the Tangible Illusion of Reality or Searching for Andy Kaufman, a book about what it's like to be dying of cancer, was recently released from Perpetual Motion Machine Publishing, and Fox has a story in the next Stargate anthology from MGM and Fandemonium Books, Points of Origin. Fox is an active member of the Horror Writers Association, and he's had published hundreds of short stories and articles. His motto is Wrecking Civilization, one story at a time.
Phil Thomas is an author and screenwriter from the suburbs of Philadelphia. His screenplays have been produced into feature films False Face and Always from Darkness, and are available in major retailers such as Best Buy and Target, as well as availability on Netflix and Amazon On Demand. His short films can be viewed on his YouTube channel, Film Zero Presents. He is a member of the International Association of Professional Writers and Editors, and he currently writes for Cultured Vultures, Game Skinny, and BloodyDisgusting.com. His first novel, The Poe Predicament, is being published in 2018 by Caliburn Press.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.